to Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, Ibadan. Amuluayemi Adelakun.
And of course, good morning to you. This morning, my name is Anuluakpoido. Thank you for joining us this Wednesday morning, where we discuss conversations across the nation, Nigeria, today.
Exactly, and this morning we are talking about a fresh controversy surrounding the abduction and eventual rescue of pupils and teachers in the Riri local government state. And then it leads our argument this morning as the Senate strongly criticizes Governor Seyi Makinde over his call for United Nations investigation into the incident. The governor's position has sparked mixed reactions, with some describing the request as a necessary step towards uncovering the truth behind the abduction, while others argue that Nigeria's security institutions are fully capable of investigating the matter without international intervention.
Yes, the debate has once again shifted attention from the rescue itself to the broader questions of accountability, security, governance, and public confidence in state institutions. Should a matter of this nature attract international scrutiny, or does such a move undermine the country's security architecture and judicial processes? Anyway, beyond the politics, what lessons should be drawn from the Oriri abduction, and how can governments at every level strengthen measures to prevent similar attacks on schools and vulnerable communities? That is our Daybreak Gist this morning.
And in a short while, we'll bring you today's newspaper headlines, where the front pages reflect the latest development in politics, governance, security, the economy, and other issues shaping the national conversation. We'll examine the stories making the biggest impact and what they mean for Nigerians. And join us for that conversation is Victor Akile, who will provide expert analysis and help us unpack the major stories making today's headlines.
And right before we round up today's program, we'll take you through Trend Watch, where we revisit the stories, reactions, and conversations dominating both traditional and social media spaces and examine why they continue to capture public attention.
Stay with us for another morning of insightful conversations, balanced perspectives, and informed analysis. Good morning to you.
A beautiful morning to you this morning.
Exactly. So just like we said in the intro, this morning we are looking at the headline that says, Oyo abduction, Senate blasts Makinde for demanding UN proof. So the issue is ongoing right now, and then it's causing a lot of reactions across the country. But before we discuss this further, all of us to take a look at the video where the governor himself said these things to Nigerians.
Therefore, with a full sense of responsibility as the Executive Governor of Oyo State, call on the appropriate international human rights and accountability. The circumstances surrounding this incident are sufficiently grave and unusual to warrant independent scrutiny beyond our domestic institutions. I therefore, with a full sense of responsibility as the Executive Governor of Oyo State, call on the appropriate international human rights and accountability mechanism, including those within the United Nations system, to closely examine the facts surrounding this abduction and the circumstances of its resolution. Such scrutiny is not intended to undermine our institutions. Rather, it is intended to reinforce public confidence that the truth will be established and that every person found to bear responsibility, regardless of office, influence, or affiliation, will be held accountable. Under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the primary responsibility for national security rests with the federal government and the security agencies under its command. The Nigerian people, therefore, deserve a full and transparent account of what happened, who was responsible, whether there were institutional failures, negligence, or collusion at any level, and what measures must now be taken to ensure that no community is ever subjected to such an ordeal again. This is not about politics. It is about justice for the victims, reassurance for our people, and restoring public confidence that every Nigerian child can go to school without fear.
Allow me read to you, some paragraphs of that story. And then the Nigerian Senate has lambasted your state governor, Seyi Makinde, for calling for a United Nations-led probe into the abduction of pupils and teachers from Moribe local government area of the state. And then speaking at plenary on Tuesday, the Senate asked the governor to stop trivializing a very serious and traumatic matter. So beyond the Senate now, I think Nigerians are divided on this matter. While some are saying, why should you call on UN to come and probe this matter, to come and investigate this matter? Nigeria is a sovereign nation with territorial integrity. I mean, no country or nobody should intervene in matters concerning Nigeria except the country is saying, come and intervene. While there are some that are on the side of the governor saying that, okay, why can't we allow UN to come and investigate this matter? Because listening to the governor, according to those who are on the side of the governor now, they feel there are certain things the governor is not saying. So if he wants an international body to come and investigate this matter, then we should allow it. But the Senate is saying, no, we're not going to allow that. I even watched an interview, I think, a few days ago, and a popular presenter also said that the governor's declaration of his ambition to run for presidency is completely irrelevant to security issues in Nigeria. And so the governor should stop politicizing the abduction. And then moving away from that, we are at this point. I think I mentioned this yesterday, that at the end of the day, we congratulate the governor, the president, and even Nigerians are happy about the fact that they were able to rescue these people. But then we need to go back to the drawing board. We need to find ways of we need to find ways of dismantling this entire system of kidnapping, terrorism in the country, and that's the way forward. That's what we are looking forward to achieve as a country. So that's the discussion this morning.
Well, like I would always say, there are different ways to look at these kind of issues, and I've often said it a number of times that there are the viewpoints in the country, Nigeria, what people on social media will call POV. It's quite interesting to know that you could look at the matter logically in this space, in the Nigerian polity, and not find a meaning logically. You could also try to look at it from the emotional perspective, and then you find nothing, except you look through the lens of politics. And I think politics is actually a viewpoint in the country that has become a thing even before now. From 1999 to now, we've been having this, because sometimes you try to make sense of a story and it's not coming. The only way to make any sense of it is to look at it from the political angle, and that's exactly the case. But again, what this exactly means for the Senate, it wasn't just the Senate that came out to call Governor Seyi Makinde out on this issue. The SGF and then the presidency, that's George Akume. Everybody is trying to say, Baba, you cannot take, don't dry our dirty linen outside. I think that's the basic conversation about all of this issue. But what this really speaks to is the profound lack of trust in the security reporting in Nigeria. And I think that's a fundamental thing we probably should talk about, because if the governor has brought it out, then it's something we should really harp on for a while. And I think it's very necessary to say that if there's any other person who has some information in this case, I think it should be the governor, because this is his state. He's been in the know as to how that unfolded, how the rescue mission began. And then according to the GOC who was in charge of the mission, he said Governor Seyi Makinde was in contact with them for almost every day. What's up? Give me progress reports. Is there something? Although that was a mission that was led by the federal government, but there was communication through to Seyi Makinde. And I think, except you want to take it politically too, for every kind of situation like this, there's always an undertone that might not be on the surface level. If everybody will just want to gloss over this and say, yeah, it was a successful mission, which is okay, absolutely correct. But there's nothing to it that might not be correct. Because if you say all we saw, what all happened, then again, there are a lot of questions if you actually logically look at this issue. Now, I saw some things that personally I'm not so cool with. But then again, what can we say to this? I love the fact that there were maybe a bit of camera. We saw Panasonic camera, one big camera there, and some other. I love the fact that there was media coverage for that, and they wanted accountability, and that was why they did that. But I don't know, but I'll just say a few things which I think I've seen and observed from developed climes. Nations around the world would not just stop at carrying something as big as that? What if it was a situation that there is fire exchange and all of that? The cameraman might suffer losses because he's not carrying ammunition. It's probably not protected. So having a camera on you and that big is not. I'm saying we've seen situations where institutions like policing institutions have body cams. We watch movies, right? And then we see what's obtainable across the world. Body cams does not need carrying like this. You just have to bear it. You don't even have to know whether it's on you because it's already somewhere around your head and everything is clear. And then you get whatever you want to report, and that's fine. But I'm seeing many things in this. I'm seeing how that we are not, they're not where we are supposed to be when it comes to reporting, when it comes to security, when it comes to technology in 2026. And I think it's really a far cry from what Nigerians should expect of. We should, call for. We need more than distance, right? The world has gone fast. Nigeria is moving slow. It's just like there's a discrepancy, there's a void, there's a gulf of difference between what we are and what we want to be. And if we call ourselves the giant of Africa, or we used to call ourselves that, then we need to really optimize a lot of things. Security architecture needs to be optimized. Technology has to be incorporated into the system, and a lot of things has to be done. But the statement about the governor coming out to say he requires external, I wanted to say invigilators, that takes me back to secondary school. But anyway, external investigators to come and check into this issue, which is okay, right? I'm not seeing anything bad in, except that they feel this undermine the national interest, because what you are portraying to the outside community is that there's a lapse in the way this administration or this government is running things. And that's one thing the Senate, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, and then the presidency came out to say, they came all out to say, this is unacceptable. You cannot say this. And again, I just wished, I was thinking to myself when I said, I wish there was a way they could really investigate into this issue. And I'm not even talking about whether it was about marking this presidency bid. No, that's not my case. My case is there are many issues that surrounded that rescue mission. There were a lot of things that were not public. I know, in national security, there's something called classified information, and that is not to be shown to everybody. It's not going to be in the public domain. No matter how much you cry for it, you would not get it. But sometimes there are certain parts of the classified information that can be declassified, especially when there's a case of rumor, when there's a case of distrust, when there's a case of the nation trying to be accountable. This was what happened, and this way. For one, I think I don't know if I'm just one of the few people asking this question. Who are those people? There were claims before now that, remember Sunday Igboho was speaking to this, and he was saying that some people, particularly calling it a particular tribe, were involved in this, right? Can we get that knowledge too, right? I'm not sure that should be so much of a thing to classify. Can we declassify that? Who are these people? One, we understand that they've said they are linked to the Ansaru. Well, we understand that, but who are they in terms of maybe tribe? And this is not to point fingers, but this is just to clear the grounds, clear the air as to what people are saying, that some people are the ones, doing all of this, perpetrating all of this evil in the country. So let's just get the air on that. One, two. You said you neutralized many of them. I'm not sure there was any parade or any show of that. I didn't get to get a brief about that. But again, what about the fact that you said you got 8 people arrested? We want to see how those people will be prosecuted according to law. We want to see what everybody would need to follow the process from the court process. The court process from when they are arraigned in court, and then the conversations that would eventually become the final sentencing for those people. Because if these people are the people that we call people who kill people for no reason, and then they go about killing people like the Ansaru, like we've seen in the northwest and northeast in the country a lot of times. And I'm wondering, I hope they don't get enlisted into the repentant bandit list that they are doing in the country. I hope that does not get, because that's one of the reasons why people are saying we need clarity. We need this investigation to be as clear as possible. Can we get these people? Let's know them, let's trace them, and then I know there's one information about getting to trace back to their families, the people that were arrested, which is okay. I love everything that happened, but much more so, lastly, I'll speak on this, that I love what the woman was said in that witness report that she was given to the press. And I think it's very interesting that she said some things that I think we should note. And if there's anything we should note is how these people perpetrate their evil. how they go about their business, how they come to villages, to communities that are ungoverned spaces, and how they cart people away, and how they do the things they do. Right? The woman mentioned something, and then what she said was that these people knew their way around, and that was a big deal for me. The 2,512 kilometer space of the Old Oyo National Park, if you have not been in that park for maybe some weeks or months, you probably should not know how to navigate, because I know how the forest system in the country is. I know, I've been to the Oyo National Park. I know how dense it can be. I know how the terrain might not be as easy. But if these people can graciously, move around the bush without traces, and again for 55 or 56 days, then I question some of these things, right? So we need this kind of conversations to be on the front burner. We need the conversation where the woman said they knew what they were doing. They were getting supplies, that they got them biscuits that the children when they first got. Who was supplying that? Where is it coming from in the bush? I mean, there's no factory in the bush, right? So how do we get some of these supplies? How do we trace those people? Did you see anybody? I mean, there's a lot of security intelligence that should go into this situation. And I think if that is not too much for an average Nigerian to ask, if a governor is asking for that, why not just have it? Let's have it. Let it be clear. Let it be open. Let everybody understand the story. Let government be accountable. Let them be transparent in reporting these issues. And I think that's one way to go for the Nigerian state. Yemi?
Yeah, exactly. And then I think I mentioned that some of the senators are not comfortable with this whole conversation around let UN come and investigate the matter. And then according to Senator Adams Oshomole, let me read to you what he said. He said, I read that Governor Shea Makinde is calling on the UN to investigate the overall circumstances that surrounds the kidnapping. I thought that was unstatesmanly. He was carrying partisan politics too far, and so that should be condemned. And then according to the Oyo State Assembly, and especially the speaker, he said mass abduction of school children has become a disturbing pattern in Nigeria. If our collective effort as a country have not been sufficient to end this menace, it is only appropriate to invite the relevant agency of the United Nations to investigate the unusual circumstances surrounding the Oyo State case. So this is my argument now. I think when I started this morning, I said Nigerians are divided on the matter, and this division will not help us in any way. Because I remember recently the federal government decided to increase the fee for WAEC and NECO, and Nigerians came out en masse to protest. We are not going to allow that. Guess what happened? The next day, they decided to suspend it because Nigerians were able to come out to protest. But on this particular matter, you need to go on social media and take the comment of some Nigerians. And then you will be worried, and then you'll be asking yourself, certain questions. Because some persons are saying, why do we need UN to come and investigate? And they are not looking at the fact that, yes, the collective effort, have been able to actually do certain things, but it's not helping the matter. Still, we see recently, after the release of these people, they kidnapped a farmer. They kidnapped another school principal. The kidnapping is not stopping. And then if care is not taken, this might continue. And we're also not looking at the fact that, there's an attack against education. Why is it that these people are so particular about abducting students, abducting teachers, abducting principal? It doesn't really make sense to a lot of Nigerians. But then until Nigerians know that they have the power to actually, call the government, to be accountable, I don't think a lot will change. Because at the end of the day, it's a symbiotic relationship. You see, there's a reason why people can exist without government, but government cannot exist without the people. Because even according to Aristotle, he said, any man who says he can stand alone is either a beast or a god. So the government, we need the people. The people also need the government. So at the end of the day, there should be a synergy between these two parties. So what I'm trying to say now is that, Nigerians should actually know the benefit of calling on the UN to come and investigate on this matter, because we are divided on the matter. Beyond the politicians, the senators, some Nigerians are not having that conversation. They see no reason why UN should come and investigate the matter. And then if care is not taken, we might not get to the bottom of this matter. Yes, at some point, even myself, don't even forget that. Do you know this abduction? Some persons feel it was staged. And then some persons feel, it was real. These people actually came to abduct these people. But till now, some Nigerians do not believe that this abduction just happened, out of the ordinary. Some people feel it was staged, it's political, just to spite somebody, to do this and do that. So because of this, comment, because some persons do not believe this actually happened, that's why the government is trying to say, okay, let's just invite an international body that will not be biased to come and investigate the matter. I also read a particular headline where the former governor of Ekiti State, Fayose, said the governor has something to do with this abduction. And so the governor is seeing all those comments, especially from top politicians, trying to accuse him of saying you have something to do with this abduction. Maybe that's why he's saying, okay, my hands are clean. Let's call on an international body that is not biased, that will not, say, okay, I want to favor this party or no. Let's call these people to come and investigate the matter so that we can get to the bottom of the matter. I've also seen people, politicians of the opposition parties come out to say, maybe it has something to do with this current administration. So I don't know how we got here actually, because people just want to blame one party or another. And if you continue to blame people, we are not going to find solution to this matter. See, our focus is we want to dismantle the system of abduction, of kidnapping in Nigeria, because it has not stopped even after these people were rescued. So this is the conversation this morning. And at the end of the day, I don't think I don't think they will allow the UN to investigate this matter, because if you check the body language of the lawmakers, they are saying we don't need that, and even some Nigerians are backing this up, and it's a problem. And that's why I gave the example of the WAEC fees. If Nigerians are united on this matter, the government will have no choice but to allow an international body to come and investigate. But if there are people that are saying Makinde does not know what he's saying, we have no need of that. There's no reason to call on an international body. Yes, Nigeria is a sovereign country, territorial integrity, but then need I say that recently we've seen countries that invaded other sovereign countries, and then they did a lot in that country and nothing happened. The UN is there, other bodies, international bodies are there. They did nothing about it. So these are the issues. But then at the end of the day, we should be more intentional about our security system in Nigeria. Obviously, the security system, they did their best. Look, I think they did their best, compared to how they've handled other situations in the past. But then we still need to do better. There are still loopholes. And that's why I mentioned yesterday that there should be a proper review, to check the things that we did right and the ones we did not, get right. And I think that's the way forward, basically.
While you were speaking, just briefly, I'll say this. Could it be that kidnapping has become the order of the day because there has not been international investigators? That just came to me as a thing that, okay, maybe why we have this prolonged is because there's no external investigators that has come into this issue. And I'm saying that for some reason. One, there's been claims that the terrorism financiers, some of them might be in government. Some of them are state actors. Some of them are non-state actors. Some of them are people we know, right? There's been claims across and around town that this thing, in fact, when Boko Haram started, there were different conspiracy theories as to who started it and why they started it, right? So if we have something that's clear, an investigation that is no partisan, that is not going to, prove allegiance to any party, that's just going to come and check who are these people financing these things, who are these people carrying this out, who do they have communications with? Let's check all these things. Is there anybody from the government level speaking to these people? Are there loopholes in the government? Are there ways people are getting information out of the system? Let's know. And I think that's going to be, I'm afraid there's no investigator in the administration that would want to point fingers at somebody who is already in office. I'm just saying that this is not even, I'm not making a claim that is happening. I'm just saying there is a chance that what if the sponsors, what if the bankrollers, what if the people who instigated this were part of the ruling power, the ruling class, that we cannot really point fingers at, except an international body does that. And I think that's just a possibility. Yeah, exactly. And it's a fine place to leave that discussion. Whether we are going to see the UN, take up this matter, we really cannot tell. But then good luck to Nigerians. We just hope that this will stop anytime soon. We take a short break, and when we come back, we move on to newspaper headlines and analysis. Please stay with us.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Casts. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram at Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Thank you for staying with us this morning. It's time for newspaper headlines and analysis. I'm Olwayemi Adelakwa, and I'm not alone in the studio. I have with me Victor Akinle, who's going to help me make sense of the stories this morning. Welcome, Victor.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, this morning we start with Vanguard newspaper, and I have the banner headline that says PFIPC, please nab DG at DMA in Ocean Village hideout. As court orders his arrest for failing to appear at fixes September 30 for arraignment. I don't know, have you been following this at DMA's case about, you're a fake DG? No, I paid a certain amount of money to the chief of staff, Bemi Bajabiamila, and then I think recently even VDM came out to say, okay, this man must just be trying to frame the chief of staff. You know, there might be no DG, there might be no office. So this is the conversation this morning. But I watched a video yesterday, and I think the man has been arrested. And so some Nigerians are saying, are they trying to, are some persons trying to cover up this issue? Or really, is this man a fake DG? Where do you stand in this argument?
Okay. Good morning once again. Thank you for having me. So this guy alleged that money has been paid, salaries have been paid, not 1 month, not 2 months, not 3 months. Salary has been continually paid into that parastatal for a number of months. Then the Bajabia Miller man said there is a money that is supposed to have paid him that he hasn't paid. Therefore, they discontinued the payment of the salary, meaning the parastatal could not function anymore. And then after a while, we heard that it's a lie. When this guy called out Bajabia Miller said there's nothing like that, it's a lie. The presidency does not even know about this commission and all that. Listen, you cannot wake up one day and just decide to frame somebody that is in power, not just an ordinary person, chief of staff of the federation. It's not possible. There's something.
But it has happened before. And people can frame anybody.
You can frame anybody, not like the chief of staff of the federation. But Jamila Miller is not just anybody, not just a CEO of an organization, not just a chairman of a board. He is the chief of staff of the sitting president. They are still in power. You dare not try such. Where will you get that confidence from? If you defraud anybody, scam anybody, is it the sitting presidency? There's something more to these things that we don't know. So arresting him and doing all this, I believe they're just trying to silence him and find a way to bring down that matter. But there's more. There's more. Like I said again, but Jabir Miller is not just the chairman of just an ordinary board or the CEO of just an ordinary organization that you can just wake up in the morning and say that is your target. That is the chief of staff of the sitting president. It's too hard to
But other
say something.
people in power, especially politicians of this administration, have come out to defend Bajabia Miller.
Yes, they would, because it is a big slap on him, big slap on the sitting presidency, big slap on the party, big slap on the nation.
So this arrest, do you think it will help us get to the bottom of the matter?
I don't think so, because the arrest is just to silence the man.
But then according to the security operatives, they want to conduct some investigations, and that's why they had to bring him in.
Yeah, but the arrest is just to silence the man.
Okay, away from that conversation, I want to believe that in a way, a day will come and they will get to the bottom of this matter, whether the DG is fake or not. Then let's talk about something else this morning. I have this headline that says, ADC insists appeal court verdict has no effect on presidential ticket. I think the opposition parties are going through a lot, especially with the court, with INEC, do not upload this candidate because of the court order, this and that. And it appears that if care is not taken, a lot might not be able to contest for the elections because of these court cases. And not just ADC alone, even NDC. I don't know if you've heard about the matter. And recently, Peter Obi granted a particular interview and said this current administration is trying to frustrate all his effort, trying to frustrate his ambition and even his businesses. So NDC, ADC, even our court, they have their own problems too. I talk about the party now, that belongs to the opposition, Hango now. They are going through one thing or the other. How do we balance this, before the election? And I remember some members of the NDC, I think they came out to say, especially the supporters of, the VP candidates to Peter Obi, they said, if at all NDC will not be on the ballot, there will be problems. So how do we arrest this situation to ensure that there will not be anarchy in the country?
I'll ask two questions, maybe rhetorical. Who appointed the chairman of the NAFDAC? The sitting presidency. They can balance. They can balance. Let them keep having problems so that they won't have time to campaign, to settle into the process of the election. So when you don't have a peaceful camp, how do you campaign? How do you put your party in order? So then the election comes, meets them unprepared, unprepared, and then.
Okay, you're talking about the appointment of the INEC chairman, right? Okay,
you don't get what I'm saying. Let me come this way.
Okay.
Who appointed the INEC chairman?
Okay.
The sitting presidency, right? Okay.
According to the constitution, he's allowed to do that.
Okay, so the sitting presidency appointed the present NAFDAC chairman. INEC chairman. Let's leave it there. That's question number one. Question number two is who appointed or how does the court now that is doing all this, you are not allowed to do this, you are not allowed to do that, who appointed the chief justice or the chief judge? Who appointed that? The sitting presidency. Okay, those are my 2 rhetorical questions. Let's lay down those there. And now later said, let them continue be having issues. So the time they are supposed to put their party together and prepare, they are settling one issue to the other. And so when we now get into the election, the party that is not settling any issue, what happens? It's a game plan.
But according to the constitution, the president is allowed to do that, to appoint.
If you are allowed to appoint somebody, who would you appoint in a nation that our governance is questionable?
But if you look at some of these political parties, they have their own internal problems. I think NDC is still battling with the logo issue. So what do you make of that?
Internal problems has nothing to do with INEC call for whatever. Internal problem has nothing to do with courts calling to remove a VP or not. So let us fight our internal troubles. You don't know we have internal troubles, do you? Until we get out there and we say it by ourselves. If you are not a member of a party, you don't know if they have internal troubles or not. You don't know. Sometimes even some members of the party don't know what is going on in the party. The problem is within the leadership.
So when I said internal problems, take a look at PDP, for instance. I think 60% of the problems that PDP is facing today is as a result of the ego of the big shot in the party. So is INEC and the court also responsible for that? Look at what happened last year.
No.
At the National Secretariat in Abuja.
No, INEC is not. INEC shouldn't be accountable for that. However, I said something then that there are people. Part of these people that you said have ego and all that, there are people within the party, within PDP party, that is working against PDP party, working for the sitting party and other parties within that party. So, and like I said earlier, this problem is known to this 60% that know about this problem. Yeah, is still within. There are some people. When I went to their national, the one that held at Oyo State, Ibadan, the national convention, I met with people that came from the north, who were gisting and all that. Some of them really didn't even know what problem was going on in the party. Osun State Governor then was a PDP guy. Didn't come. Some people don't even recognize him to know if he's there or not. So when we're talking about internal problems, sometimes not everybody in the party or in the system knows there's a problem. Just those who the problem concerns. Many times.
Okay, away from that, let's cross to another newspaper this morning, which is Nigerian Tribune, and let's talk about the banner headline that says, "Go after other bandits, terrorists nationwide. Senate tells federal government, cautions Makinde to stop trivializing governors or government effort. Your assembly bags governor on call for UN probe. Oriri Hospital discharges 25 out of 39 on admission." Where do you stand? Because I said this morning that Nigerians are divided over this matter. Some are saying, do not call for UN to come and investigate the matter, while others are saying, there's no problem. Call on UN to come and investigate the matter. And then the Senate is saying, Makinde is trying to politicize the issue. I don't know. Do you support UN coming to investigate the matter?
Okay, so let me break it down a little. Firstly, Nigeria is a sovereign state, and unless for any very cogent reason, there shouldn't be any external intervention unless invited. So that established. Federal government handles the security of the nation. According to the Nigerian Constitution, the federal government of the nation handles security of the nation primarily. So if the Senate says that is going overboard for Governor Makinde doing all of that, well, they might not be completely wrong, because they are still maintaining the Constitution of the Nigeria that says federal government handles this, not UN. Federal government handles the security of the nation. However, back to Seyi Makinde, why does he have to do that? I feel the whole pressure of the incident, he faced it more than any other office. So he coming out to say, okay, there is more to this game plan than everything all of us saw. Let us have UN. It simply means that federal government has not done well. And then we need external intervention. Internally, we have not done well. Federal government hasn't done well. So we need external intervention. I think the Senate should see that as a call to duty, other than call to start fighting over what is not necessary. At the end of the day, I feel both Governor Seyi Makinde and the Senator should be fighting for the greatness of the nation. So this will happen again. It's not a cause. This will happen again. It is not a cause. You only stop them at Oriri. We don't know the next victim.
But according to the presidency and even the security operatives, they tried their best. And then even some observers, some experts have come out to say this is the best approach ever to rescue the people all at once.
I agree it is the best, but that is the best Nigeria can provide right now. Oh, come on. That's the best Nigeria can provide right now. That our best is still not enough in other nations.
All right, let's cross to our Daily Sun this morning and talk about this particular headline that says NYC threatens to blacklist hostile core employers over welfare accommodation. And I tried to read the entire report, and then it's talking about the fact that they will stop sending core members to some companies, establishment who have failed to treat core members well. And then at the end of the day, I think according to some companies now, they came out to say that some core members will intentionally walk their way into some companies. So where do you stand? Because at the end of the day, I think most companies will even tell some core members at the initial stage that this is what we can afford, and then they'll say, okay, we can actually stay. But then there are also some companies who are not willing to actually cater to the needs. It doesn't even matter, it doesn't have to be big. So I don't know, how can we address that situation in this country, speaking about NYC and then PPA?
Come again, let me get your question properly.
Okay, so I said, according to the DG of NYC, came out to say that they will start to sanction companies who have failed to cater to the needs of core members. Definitely. In terms of accommodation, in terms of maybe stipend per month. I think some states are actually paying core members, but not the entire country. And so now my question is, some companies also came out, if you check online, because I love to surf the internet, they come out to say that some core members at the initial stage find a way to work their ways into some companies. Yes. So, and then they explain to them this is what we can afford. So at the end of the day, there should be a synergy between the commission, which is the NYC now, and the companies, because especially some students are comfortable, some core members are comfortable with whatsoever they are getting from the organization.
Okay, so they should, okay, fine, I understand it now, and I understand both parties' intention. But here's the thing, any organization that didn't do well for a core member, and the core member probably reported or was dissatisfied and all that, let the company be sanctioned. Now, like you said, there are some core members that work themselves into an organization. So, according
to some companies.
Yes, yes, which is true actually. When you work yourself into an organization and the organization didn't treat you well, just accept it and go home. Just enjoy your predicament because you worked yourself in there by yourself. So that shouldn't be a problem for the DG of the NYSC. It's not a problem for the DG, it's the core members' problem. But the ones that didn't meet up with the standard of the NYSC, then DG should come for them. That's my opinion. Do you understand what I said?
I do.
The ones who work themselves into the problem themselves, let them manage their predicament themselves. But the organizations who failed the expectation of NYSC, then DG should take necessary actions. Simple.
Okay, but is there a clear arrangement?
There will be no clear arrangement. Because
I'm talking about the NYC now, because I mean there's an amount that the federal government will pay every core member per month.
Yes.
So I don't know, but I think the problem is not every company can actually pay. You cannot say every company should pay this particular amount to core members, but because you cannot talk about their profit in a month or maybe in a year. So do you think NYC should fix something? For each
it is already fixed. NYSC has a standard. Any organization, I used to have core members in an organization I worked some time ago. They were even submitted to my table as the GM then. So it is that you must provide, I think, about additional 30,000 naira or so without accommodation, or 20,000 naira with accommodation. I think that was it. I personally drove down to meet house agents to get them accommodation. And finally, some of those core members says, in my father's
Tiku with legal action. Ask INEC to remove David Tiku with legal action. Ask INEC to remove David Marks NWC from Porter. I mentioned to you that there are internal problems. And of course, there's a faction in the EDC. There are factions. And they are saying, okay, we're going to threaten Atiku. We don't want him to be presidential candidate. I even remember that after the primary election, a lot of persons came out to say, this we cannot accept, the election results, so Atiku should not be the presidential candidate. Some were even against him in the first place. You know about it, he's been presidential candidate for how many times now? Over 4 times now. So now that there's a faction within the AGC that is saying, we are saying no to Atiku, becoming the presidential candidate or his name being uploaded on the INEC portal. That's an internal problem. So is the court or maybe INEC also responsible for this problem?
No. The court, no, INEC is not responsible for this problem. However, there are people in that party that are working against the party. That's my ground. Were they blind when the primary election was held? Were they not there? Did they contest for presidency? Were there other candidates that contested against Atiku in the primaries? So when the guy now won, whether it is the 10th time he's contesting, he has won. If it's not okay by you, the camp, if it is possible. And if it is not possible, stay there, keep your mouth shut and work with what you have on ground. It is a, what do they call this himself? It's a campaign after election. The man has won. He holds the mandate. Whether you like it or not, he is the rightful flag bearer because he was the person who rightfully won the primary election. So your fight now is either you walk away if you can't work with him, or you keep quiet and stay there. Simple. Were they not there when they conducted the primaries? They were there. It's not a ground.
Okay, good luck to the AGC. Let's take the final headline this morning and let's cross to New Telegraph and check the banner headline. That says, State Please, Reps Reverse Passage Adopt Tinubu's version. And beyond the rep, I think there are other peculiar issues surrounding this old State Please, because some governors are still standing on their ground to say, we are not in support of this State Please that you're talking about. Can we still maintain what we are doing currently? So why do you think some governors are not comfortable with this particular bill?
It's expensive. Number one, it is expensive. But the truth is, we need state police. The Nigeria police force, the number of policemen we have in Nigeria is not enough to cater for Nigerians. Therefore, we need state police. So why are the other governors not wanting it? Number one, it is looking at it logically from the ones that have sense. Number one, it is expensive because it will incur more expenditure on the budget of the states.
But if you look at what the state governors are getting compared to the previous administration, it's more.
Yeah, but then this is it. The more the budget, the more the expenditure. That's the simple rule of life. The more you attain an advancement, the more expenses you are likely going to incur. It's normal. So the more the what's the thing called now? The money coming in, allocation, then the more the expenditure. So even if the allocation increases, and then we now have each state having their own police departments, then you have to recruit more people, you have to pay more salaries, you have to build offices for them, barracks for them, and all that. So it is expensive, yeah. But on the other hand, what would I say? They just lack common developmental sense, because it is eventually for the benefits of them and the nation. Now, Orire is a very good example as to explain why we need state police. When that happened, what the governor will do is call the commissioner of police of the state and get to action immediately. We don't need to start waiting for federal government and take 58 days, 56 days before coming to our rescue. I believe if there was state police, those guys would have come out earlier than that time. I believe so.
Okay, let's talk about the Senate. Looking at how they've been handling this matter, we've been talking about state police for years now. Unfortunately for Nigeria, it was passed recently. But now the Senate decided to adopt the president's framework in terms of how to embark on the state police. So Nigerians are asking, is like the Senate and then maybe the presidency in a way is dragging this matter and causing more issues, for the bill?
The Senate, the Nigeria's Holy Spirit, how can I handle this matter? The Nigerian Senate is so very, very capable. We just have a bunch of old people that want money. Come on. Old cargoes that want money and their children are not facing anything the poor man is facing. So what they want, it's not, okay, let me say it this way. It's not as if they deliberately want to be draggy. It's just because they are not facing the pressure the people are facing. They don't understand insecurity is. Their children are not here. Majority of them, their children are not schooling here, are not here. And the few ones that our children are here, they are monitored, protected. Some of them use convoy. So they don't understand what a poor man is facing. Therefore, they won't take it serious. You understand? If you trekked this morning and they say, let's get more vehicles to the state, you will be the first person to say, yes. But if you didn't trek this morning and they say there's scarcity of car, you won't understand. You don't get what I'm trying to say now. So, because they don't know how the masses live, they don't feel what they feel, they tend to be draggy, sluggish on some cogent bills that they need to sign.
Okay, it's a fine place to leave the discussion this morning. Big thanks to you, Victor Akinleye, for being a part of this segment.
Thank you for having me.
And right, we take a short break, and when we come back, we conclude the program. Please stay with us.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio...
As regards the issues that we have put on the front burner this morning, but of course we still engage some other conversations in the course of the day on our different programs and broadcasts on Dominion Television here in Ibadan. That was a fantastic conversation.
Exactly, it was. And then just like you mentioned, it won't stop there. We'll continue to treat the issues even as we progress. A big thanks to you for being a part of today's session. My name is Oluwayemi Adelako, and I'll see you tomorrow.
And I'm Oluwako, saying bye for now.